We're back. We are back. We were gone, but now we are back in our homes, thankfully, after a long, but successful, or should I say, elevated week, Sammy?
Quite elevated.
It was
Talk about an incredible week.
Big week for us, I will say.
Why don't you tell the people what we did, Parker?
Elevation Nation, we went on the road, which was super awesome. We were in Chicago on Monday and Tuesday, and on Tuesday we spoke with the National Honor Society members, new members, the juniors, and the vets of the seniors at Prospect High School in Prospect Heights, Illinois. And we did two 80-minute sessions, one about legacy and one about starting the next journey with those young high schoolers. And it was freaking awesome. We had been working on that for the last few months, but it was really awesome to just like have our ideas, our conversations, Elevation Nation almost come to life in that setting. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time today talking about that experience, our takeaways, and what, how we're feeling about that now. How are you feeling?
I'm finally coming off my high. I was so hyped, dude, last week, coming back to work. Couldn't focus, was so excited about how well the presentation went. It was just so fun to finally see all the hard work that we've been putting into things kind of happen and us be able to impact some young people's lives. And I think they really appreciated it. The administrators really appreciated it. And I mean, Parker, it realized one main thing for me, a really big thing. Do you want to know? I was trying to build suspense. I was waiting for you to say, tell me what it is.
Okay, what is it?
I think that some people are very good at basketball. Some people are really good at engineering. I think we are really good and enjoy public speaking.
You're tooting your own horn there?
Yeah. It's the only place I actually think where I feel extremely confident in my abilities.
I honestly feel sometimes the complete opposite, and I do not feel very confident in my public speaking. However, somehow I always find myself in public speaking situations, and I don't know, I get nervous as shit every time before. You know me.
And I think getting nervous is fine, but do you enjoy it? Do you feel like
you're good at it? Totally. If I'm prepared and I'm ready to go and the crowd is engaged, then hell yeah. If it's telling a good story, I really do enjoy it. And the crazy thing is that we've been public speaking for a while. We just haven't had a live audience for most of it. And I think it was just so cool to be able to engage. I mean, we had an audience of over 100 people per session. And to be able to run that session, speak about our story, speak about the experiences that we've had with Elevation Nation, but more so, it was an engaging experience. It wasn't just us lecturing. It was us engaging with the students. We created workbooks. They went through exercises about how they can grasp the concept of mental fortitude. And it was just so cool to speak about, but more so, we've been harping on these ideas for so long, and we've talked about it on the podcast. We've got it on the website, all that type of stuff. But to be able to actually work and do a workshop around what we've done, like, I feel like it was a big monumental win for Elevation Nation in that regard.
It was an absolutely huge win for us, dude. I mean, again, I think back to when we first started. It wasn't the podcast that was our number one goal. It was, we want to figure out how to travel the world and speak publicly. And for the first time, I felt less like an imposter and more like, okay, this could actually be real. Like, Parker, I'm really excited for next weekend when we're going to do kind of a couple hour strategy session, because I think that's going to help us figure out how to make this a full-time career, which is a dream of mine. Again, like, what a privilege it would be to be able to figure out how to make our living doing something we love doing and feel good at.
Yeah,
that's the American dream, right?
I'm with you. I mean, it's something that you build from the ground up, and we've talked about, like, our jobs are, we enjoy our jobs, we like what we do, But this thing came from an idea that was in our brains, and we've worked at it for so long. And I think it's crazy. Like, I never honestly thought we would ever be in front of a crowd that big, let alone get paid to do it. And I just think it was absolutely, from our end, a really interesting experience. I wonder, I hope that the students felt that it was an impactful, unique experience. And the way I look at it is, if those students took anything away, anything positive, that's what matters. Maybe some of it didn't make the most sense. I hope it did. Maybe some of it was beyond people's heads, and maybe they weren't fully engaged in it. But if they took away one thing, and that's what we did our job. And what's cool about that is, if they did take something away, there are a lot more people I feel like we can elevate, and that's what's really exciting, and that's what's really cool. We've been trying to elevate ourselves. We've been trying to elevate elevators. We've been trying to elevate the audience of this podcast. And now I feel like even beyond that, our public speaking is going to give us another avenue to continue to elevate. As my sister would say, elevate the nation.
Eventually the only avenue. You never know.
Well, it wouldn't be the only avenue, because the podcast isn't going anywhere.
I'd rather public speak than do the podcast one day. But we'll see.
They go hand in hand, buddy.
You think?
At this point, I think they go hand in hand.
I said one day. Not that I don't love talking to you, but it's pretty cool. That energy you feel live with a group of people is just so different than virtually. It's electric.
So really I want to make this beneficial to the listeners too. I know, obviously we've been talking about how happy we were about that experience, but maybe when it comes to public speaking, as a young adult, we do that, whether it's in our job, whether it's at maybe it's a wedding or a dinner. What is one tip that you remind yourself when you go into public speaking like that?
So, I am lucky. I don't really get that nervous. But I do have an increased heart rate for sure. And I feel that little bit of an adrenaline rush. Not that I'm I'm scared I'm going to forget something. More just okay, here we go. And it's funny. It's the same exact feeling that I got when I used to go play varsity basketball games. When I'd get into the game, I'd get that nervous energy. And I wish I knew this back then, because I didn't do it. But I'd go into the game and I'd be running around breathing heavy, and my muscles would tighten up and lock up, and it would make me more nervous. So now, before I speak, I just take a couple really big deep breaths and try to slow my heart rate down. It's so cliche and it's so simple, but there's a body reaction to that. It's not just your mindset calming down. It's my muscles physically relaxing, making me less tense. Then I have another one that I learned in a public speaking class at Maryland, which was an absolutely atrocious class, because I don't think my professor actually knew how to speak publicly or relate to people, but he did give me one good piece of advice, which was, don't stand straight up, because if you lock out your knees, the circulation to your head and the rest of your body gets broken up if you stand in that position too much. And that's how you pass out when you speak. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I did. I've also seen that at a wedding when some of the bridesmaids stand up straight, and then they're trying to be, very proper, and then all of a sudden, I don't think I've ever seen one actually drop to the ground. I've seen one have to sit down because they were, But yes, it's true. It's a thing. I think for me, a tip that I have, I'm someone who, I don't get as nervous as I used to. I think I just get, it's excitement, but also it's you can prep all you want. You can prep, but what you're going to say on game day, the way I put it, might be a little bit different than what you prepared. And I think for me, my challenge is I get anxious that I'm going to be thrown off the course. And it always gets thrown off the course, right, Sam? We were never going to be able to prepare with an audience like that. And so for me, I think I'm big on getting my bearings. I need to hear my voice right off the bat. I need to get the comfort of being able to speak and engage, and then I'll fall into I'll get rid of the nervous energy, and then I'll fall into my rhythm. So to you, like I said to you, I said, initially we were planning that you were going to start the presentations. And I was like, the night before, I was like, you know what, actually, for me, it helps if I start the presentation, whether it's even just saying 3 words. Let me start the presentation and get my bearings and get my voice, so then I can feel more comfortable as when it comes to you and then it comes back to me. So that was one thing I think worked really well. And I use that too in other speaking, whether it's presenting in work or whatnot. But I think another thing for me too is like, I oftentimes used to come to like public speaking, like I got my whole thing scripted. Everything is like, I have it rehearsed. It's perfect. But we all know that if you're scripting something, it doesn't come off as authentic as whatever. And a good speech is one, or a good public speaker is someone who engages and feels authentic, right? So I think what we did really well is we knew the path and the course that we needed to go and where we wanted to be and the main points we wanted to hit. But how we said it, we brought it from the heart. We didn't rehearse exactly how we were going to say it. We just let it flow. And I remind myself that as long as you continue to let it flow, be yourself, and always come back to the points that you're trying to make, then the presentation will be that much more effective.
I mean, I'm really proud of you, man. Like, I think you crushed it. What an incredible experience that was. And one of the most fun memories I had was us prepping in the hotel room the night before together, right? Our first real official business trip as Elevation Nation. And I think, it just reminded me. It's really fun.
It felt like a band. Like you're in
it's
a band.
Fun to run a company with your best friend. Like, it really
fun.
is.
It's like in a band. Like we were literally like, this is it. This is game day. This is the night before the game.
A band. This is our jam band.
No, but like
Pigeons
we were
playing
like,
ping pong, Elevation Nation style.
But you know what I mean? It was like we were in the hotel getting ready for the game the next day, and we were preparing. We were getting ready. It was like
we got a workout in before to get the blood pumping.
It was like we so fully fun. Prepared as if it was game day, and I thought that was really cool. I haven't had something like that in a while. And I felt that was really, really cool. And like, even after, we were dapping each other up, we were getting excited, we were getting hyped. And I think that's really cool. I think, what was something that you think that we can improve on?
I think we definitely can refine our presentation more and make it crisper and figure out what stories we want to tell that are impactful. I think it was really impactful and I think it was great, but I think there were some things that we dragged on too long. And that's why I'm really excited to get the film and play this back, because typically you don't get to play back like presentations at work and see how you did or things of that nature. And I'm really looking forward to going in and being critical on myself and you of like, okay, did we really need to talk about that point? Did we drag this on too long? Could we tell that the audience wasn't engaged, right? And I think that's, again, just going to help us become even better at this and continue to hone our craft. But I'm excited, man. This was special.
It's just the first one, if we want to continue to do this, there'll hopefully be many, many more. But like you always say, when it comes to a goal, you're not going for the tangible result. You're going for that feeling. And that feeling I had after we ended was a feeling that I hadn't had from something I worked on in a long time. And that was a really, really cool feeling because it felt very accomplished. Regardless of, if it was the most amazing presentation or not, it was our first one. We did it. And I think it, went pretty well. So like chasing that feeling is super, super cool.
On to the next ones, man. On to the next ones. I can't wait. What a special journey. Thank you for everyone that supported us. Hopefully it's the start of a dream coming to reality. But let's give some shout outs to Elevation Nation. I have a shout out that I want to share with some folks. So let me pull that up.
I'll shout out 2 elevators. One very recent elevator, Orly, Israel, and one big elevator that we have in the nation, Alana Dunn. Orly went on Alana's podcast. Alana's got a big, big podcast, Seeing Other People. And they talked together, and it was an electric, insightful, cool, amazing conversation. So I highly recommend, if you're into the conversation that Orly had on Elevation Nation with us, or even Alana, that was a dynamic duo and they were on Alana's podcast, Seeing Other People. So check that out. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Incredible. Two of some of my favorite humans of all time. Shout out elevator number 19, Sammy Handler of Kicks by Sammy, just moved in and got her own office space for her incredible company, Kicks by Sammy. An just insane artist. She's built this empire from the ground up, and I'm sure Zach Greenspoon is excited to not have you working in the apartment anymore now that you have your own office space. So shout out to Sammy. We're really, really, really proud of you.
Sammy's been doing this thing for probably like 10 years now. It's kind of crazy.
Crushing it.
Pretty
Crushing
crazy.
It. All right, Parker, I'm also proud of you, man. Shout out to both of us. What an incredible journey it's been. Here's to many more speaking gigs.
Cheers.
Till next week, Elevation Nation. Peace.